your customers. And it's easy to use on mobile, desktop, or desk phone. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Zoom, how the world connects.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
This is ONN.
I'm Dave James on the Ohio.
Yeah, can of pop.
Was a .40 caliber handgun with a full magazine and a round in the chamber. We're told no threats were made and no one was injured. I'm Yolanda Harris.
And I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network.
Calls and conversations continue in less than 3 minutes as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
November is an ideal month to plant trees in Ohio because the soil is still warm, which reduces the transplant stress. Plus, trees require less water in November than in the heat of the summer, allowing roots to grow in the cooler temperatures. When planting trees, keep these tips in mind. Select trees that are zone hardy for where you plan to plant. Avoid planting trees that produce slip hazards, like fruits and nuts close to sidewalks. And don't plant large trees near or under utility lines. To learn more about the November tree planting, contact an ISA-certified arborist near you by going to trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org. Open enrollment for healthcare.gov is here. If you're uninsured or have a job that doesn't offer insurance, check out healthcare.gov. Due to a new law, prices are lower and more people qualify. Now, 4 out of 5 customers pay just $10 a month or less with financial help. It's easier than ever to find the right plan for you, and millions of Americans, just like you, have already enrolled. New law, lower prices, more people qualify. Sign up at healthcare.gov by December 15th.
Save big money on your next project with 11% off everything at Menards. Give your walls a new look with Zinsser Smart Coat. It's an advanced paint and primer in one with ultra smooth coverage, superior adhesion, and exceptional washability. Interior flat paint is 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through November 6th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hello, everyone, from the Watchdog. I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies, a daytime high of 48 degrees. Partly to mostly cloudy through the overnight, 29 for the low. Clouds, limited sunshine around for your Wednesday, with highs in the mid to upper 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
On air, online, on demand, and on video. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Round number 2 and cup number 2, the coffee this morning, tasting particularly good. And I am enjoying it. I see that Aaron put out a tweet about Aaron Myler, our weather guy, put out a tweet about his coffee, desire not to drink coffee very often, but also to prefer iced items. So I guess after we talked about it here on the radio, we felt a need to put some information out on the internet. So you can read Aaron's thoughts about that on, I think it's his Twitter page that he put those out on. It's going to be a cool day today and a cold night tonight. 48 is going to be our high for the day today, with a lot of clouds. Overnight temperatures dropping below freezing. Will be below freezing every night this week, really every night this week, basically. Currently, it is 42 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 44 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and about 43 degrees, at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Among the things we're talking about today, Election Day in Virginia, all political eyes on the governor's race. Tom Squitieri and I will talk about that in a minute. Senator Manchin has disappointed progressive Democrats by apparently declining to sign on to the $1.75 trillion Build Back Better bill that was trimmed down in order to placate him. Ogden newspaper reporter Stephen Adams with us later on this morning to weigh in on that. Wheeling Council has a full agenda today, from parking garage financing to outdoor dining funding. We'll preview that for you. With supply chain concerns front of mind for many people, we'll look at a couple of lists of buy now gift ideas because they may not be available later. Philadelphia is ending traffic stops for minor traffic violations, partly because they're perceived to be racially unfair. Share the details with you and I want to get your reactions in the texts and in the phone calls. And Thanksgiving is coming up quick. We took a look at a couple of Thanksgiving surveys and had some Thanksgiving conversation already this morning. 23 days away from Thanksgiving, 53 days away from but actually only 3 days away from the start of our holiday season here in the Ohio Valley, because the Festival of Lights will officially flip their switch at Oglebay Park at 6:15 on Thursday night of this week. So the Festival of Lights will be lighting up and kicking into high gear. Santa Claus will be the official flipper of the light switch this year. That's kind of interesting. Over the years, we've had some celebrities come in. I remember when Willard Scott from the Today Show was here and others, but this year to be the official light flipper. But Santa Claus will flip the switch at 6:15 on Thursday night, and then the Festival of Lights display is underway. Locals are always advised, for me at least, if you can, take your Festival of Lights visit early, because the roads get very full as the season gets closer and closer, and after Thanksgiving gets difficult. So once the lights are on, go up and enjoy it. I know that grandson Teddy has already been talking about he can't wait to get up to see the Festival of Lights. He's enjoyed them every year. I think every year. Well, not every year he's been alive, but every year he's been here in town, which has been about 4 years. So love them Festival of Lights. All right, it's 8:14 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. A lot of political stuff to get into, and for that we always turn on Tuesdays to our national correspondent, Tom Squitieri. Tom, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you today?
Let me check. I think I'm all right. It's going to be a cold day today and a cold night tonight, but it is, after all, fall.
It's going to be a pretty cold night for Democrats in Virginia, I think.
Yeah, I'm
How's that
curious.
for a
What
seg-
is your
I always try
what's your
to get
prediction
my
there?
segue working for you, Howard. You know, I
And
always
you do.
try to
I'm going
do
to
a
tell
good
you,
segue.
I know I got a pro on the line when you can work those segues in the way you do. The governor's race in Virginia, all political eyes on that today. It's going to be, I guess, is being predicted to be at best a squeaker, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good prediction. But I also, there's a lot to be said about the Virginia race that's probably accurate, and probably a lot being said that it's just, we don't really know. This is a high-profile race in Virginia always because it's in an off year, and it's always an open seat because Virginia doesn't permit the incumbent governor to seek re-election immediately, in other words, back-to-back terms. So it's always an open seat, and that does the usual kind of, as opposed to New Jersey, where there's also a governor election today, but the incumbent is running for re-election and probably will win. So this is the first election, of course, after the presidential election. It's gotten a lot of national attention. And, it's Terry McAuliffe, who was the former governor of Virginia, and a newcomer, Glenn Youngkin, who's the Republican nominee, who's done a very good job of distancing himself from President Trump, yet still, jazzing up the issues that Trump voters like, as well as sort of talking about education, which is an important issue, of course, everywhere, but particularly so in the Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C., which tend to be the swing counties among moderate voters in statewide elections. And also, Howard, what's somewhat overlooked is the Republican candidates for lieutenant governor, which is elected, and attorney general, two positions that are elected independently of the governor. They don't run as a, one vote for all. They're also leading in their races. So you're looking at a potential Republican sweep of the three offices that have been held by Democrats. And then the question is, what's going to happen in the House of Delegates, also up for election today, whether the Democrats can hold on to their narrow majority or if the Republicans can come back and retake it or make it tighter. So it's going to be a very long night, I think, in Virginia for a lot of these House delegate races, as well as perhaps the governor's race. Here's where it tips to the national perspective from my point of view, and from what we've talked about a lot. And you just said, Senator Manchin and the progressive Democrats in the House aren't getting along, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've heard this all year, and President Biden's numbers have dropped, and that's reflected in Virginia. Whereas President Trump, who's been out of office, his numbers aren't so bad now because he's not in office. That's often what happens. The Democrats haven't done Biden any favors, nor have they done, in this case, the governor candidate, Terry McAuliffe, any favors either, because they haven't accomplished anything in the eyes of many voters, including those in Virginia. And remember, Virginia has a large government workforce living there. So, national politics do bleed over, in this case, into the Virginia race.
The Republican candidate, as you point out, has tried to walk a real thin line of not bear-hugging Donald Trump personally, but still sticking to the themes of Trumpism to a large extent. Did I see, Tom, and I only think I saw a headline, so I could be wrong, did Trump show up in Virginia this week?
He did not. What he did was last night, he didn't show up at all in Virginia. There was a huge rally last night for Youngkin, the election eve rally. Both candidates had one, and he called into it.
Okay. Because, again, Youngkin and the Republicans, I think, had felt that a personal appearance by Trump might actually motivate the Democrats more, so they didn't actually want to.
It probably would have. It probably would have. Look, it was a safe. Last night, President Trump's call to the rally. That's at the point last night. You're having your election eve rally. Most people have made up their minds, or those who are going to go to the polls today and then decide probably aren't going to be attending either of those rallies, and the coverage of those rallies was muted because they were so late. President Trump calling into a rally of Youngkin supporters going wild already. I mean that in a positive sense, exuberant and excited about a possible victory. That probably doesn't have any impact on a voter. Yeah, sure, President Trump called in, late Monday night from afar. But had he come, as you said, to the state to campaign, or even he has issued some statements supporting Youngkin, saying he's a great guy and stuff, but that's not the same thing as coming to the state.
No, so I misunderstood the headline because I thought I only saw a headline. So he did not show up. He just called into the
Yes.
rally. You might want to make a prediction. I know you're not in the prediction business.
But you know,
what do you think?
but you know who did show up was, Barack Obama did show up, and a couple big name Democrats did show up in the state. By comparison, and that reflects in a way, the tightness of the race, that McAuliffe really needed some help from Democrats who. Biden came, and that didn't really move the needle much. Obama did move the needle. There's some of the idea that the Democratic voters are tough. My prediction, it's tough. I'm not even trying to avoid making one. It's just that I will say what I said at the beginning. This is a really close race, and the fact that Youngkin can win and could win easily, and when it's all done with the counting, could win easily, would not surprise me. I feel, generally speaking, that the Democrats, both voters are exhausted, and they didn't see the importance of this. And, if Youngkin wins, I'll look at it from a different point, prediction. If Youngkin wins the governorship, and particularly if he has a decent, if he brings the other two with him, as I said earlier, you put Youngkin in a position then as almost being the new face of the Republican Party, and how a Republican can win in the post-Trump sort of negative, walking that line, as you put it. Making sure he has the Trump voters secure, but also not being threatening to sort of like the undecided voters that really decide elections. If that makes any sense to you. So my prediction.
No, I think that's exactly what's likely to happen. And you've got if McAuliffe would lose and Youngkin would win, and then as you point out, the other two, the Lieutenant Governor and
Attorney General.
Attorney General. If they would be Republican as well. Some of the House, the House is on fairly narrow Democrat right now. Virginia's perceived to be a blue state, but those kind of moves today would begin to turn it around, and that's something Democrats have to be really, really concerned about. Democrats across the country have to be concerned about, and I think that the whole issue of Democratic enthusiasm, which is a phrase that's been used a lot in the Virginia conversation, has got to be taken into account. I think, as you said at the beginning, right now, Democrats, there's a lot of family squabbling going on, and I think a lot of rank and file Democrats, as people who carry that in their registration card, are kind of frustrated with what's been happening on Capitol Hill. And will that translate into them not being energized to go out and vote for candidates? I mean, I think this is a real pivotal election here today.
I'm with you on this. You've had the Democrats in power now on Capitol Hill and the White House for almost a year. And you could not let other people judge, objectively what they've accomplished and what they have not. And even with Mitch McConnell and the Republican opposition, a lot of the problem is the infighting, as you pointed out. Virginia seems to be a reliable blue state, and I'll make a pun here, is that if what happens, if the Republicans sweep, it's going to be they're blue in the morning because they're sad, and they shouldn't be shocked as to what happened, because when someone can see it on the wall from West Virginia or me in Maryland, and other pundits across the country who don't have a dog in the fight necessarily, they should be able to see it. And I bet it's driving Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer crazy, because they had this opportunity at the beginning of the year to solidify the people who turned out to vote for Joe Biden because they did not like Donald Trump. They did not necessarily dislike Joe Biden, but they didn't like Donald Trump, and they were comfortable with Biden. And Biden and the Democrats had the opportunity to keep those voters at least energized and interested, or believing that they could make a positive difference. And Virginia is the first test of that, because Governor Northam of Virginia has been a pretty good governor. He had that incident with the college yearbook thing, but I'm not dismissing that. But that had nothing to do with his governing of the state per se. He's gotten fairly good marks as a governor, and it's been Democratic governors recently in Virginia who have gotten good marks. Two of them are now U.S. senators and so forth. So, it's not like the Democrats have been doing a bad job in the eyes of voters in Virginia, but the national politics across the Potomac have seeped into the state.
Let's bring it a little bit closer to home here at 8:24 in the morning as we talk to Tom Squidieri, our national correspondent. Yesterday, Senator Joe Manchin, West Virginia's very own, I thought in his, and I've got a little clip right here, I thought he was almost a scold in the way he talked about things yesterday. He said that, people talk about how he wants to vote. I lost my clip, so I guess I'm just going to explain it here. He said that people talk about how he's going to vote, and nobody really understands exactly what he's going to do. He scolded the House for not moving forward on the infrastructure bill, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, for squabbling among themselves. I just thought he came across really as a scold.
I think that's a good way of characterizing him yesterday as well. And I wonder, and I've always liked to defer to you because you've known Governor Manchin longer than before he was Senator Manchin, and how he was as governor. And I keep that in mind, what you told me, several shows ago about how he always sought to find a way forward between different sides and was pretty successful at it, as you said. And he doesn't, for whatever reason, he seems to have lost that touch or that desire here in Washington in these circumstances. He had a line yesterday, and I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize. But it basically said, let's stop playing these games and move forward. And then he left the press conference, to which reporters looked around and said, well, aren't you part of the game playing in a sense? His scolding you were remarking, it's almost as if he wasn't part of what the problem is right now for the Democrats. And, he is, as are others, but he is. And, we joked last week about him being Lucy in the football, but there's a lot of truth to that. He does seem to, have, they made, as you said in the opening remarks, that they cut back on the spending of the package to appeal to him, to compromise with him. And now he's still scolding them. And he says it's a game, but, there's a great photo, Howard, and if I find it, I'll send it to you. It's an aerial shot of all the reporters crowded around him. He goes, I really want this all to end. And some reporter says, oh, yeah, you really do, with all this attention you're getting.
Yeah, Senator Manchin, I don't mean this overly critically, but Senator Manchin always, Phil Kabler, who is a State House reporter, brought to mind this in his column this week. He said back when Manchin was governor, the press corps used to always say the most dangerous place in Charleston is between Joe Manchin and the camera.
Yeah, that appellation goes to a lot of people in Washington. I remember that too. And some of
and
the
I think that
I'm laughing. Sorry.
I think that's become true. Again, I don't mean to overly criticize Senator Manchin. I think reporters follow him because he's a key player now, but I think he likes that too. I think he enjoys, talking to reporters and having everybody all around him. I think he said yesterday, I read his statement, I watched it and read it. I think he said the 1.75 trillion he doesn't think is a real number either, because he had said 1.75 trillion is the number that I could live with, and so he got it down to 1.75 trillion. And now he says, but I think I'm not sure how he phrased it, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
There are hidden numbers in there. It really isn't the actual number if you look at it realistically. So that's the game he's playing now. And again, I can't help but think, as you and I talked about last week, Lucy, this time I'm going to hold that football for you, Charlie Brown. This time, go ahead and kick it, because I'm on your side this time. President Biden on Friday didn't say specifically, but certainly indicated that he thought Manchin was on board when they trimmed this bill down. And then Manchin has pulled the football out again. Just, I don't know. We're going to talk more about it next hour with the State House reporter, Stephen Adams from the Ogden chain. A couple other quick national things I want to get to, or international things I want to get to, or more security issues. You said there's a cybersecurity alert that they're sending out to monitor elections in some states, right?
That's correct. The Cybersecurity Bureau Agency put out an alert yesterday saying that they opened up their information room for people with rumors about election fraud or anything else or concerns to call them, so they don't go on the wrong path. They said there's no specific threat to the elections. No cyber threat detected. In 30 states, there's elections today. And so they did that as a preemptive move. This was set up before the 2020 election, to which, the discount rumors and also the discount threats. I think this is, again, a wise move, given the state of elections in our country and, people believing fake news and false stories and internet gossip, that this is a good way to kind of try to tamp down some of those rumors and also to be proactive as opposed to reactive should there be some indications of cyber hanky-panky.
And as you said, I think I heard you say they're telling us there's no specific indication of that, but
That's right.
we've come to recognize that it is a very real possibility. We talk about election meddling, I guess.
Yeah.
Unlike the kind of election meddling that Donald Trump has been trying to promulgate, cyber concerns, I think, have the potential to be very real.
That's correct. The Russian organizations that are in Russia that operate from within Russia, they've been active in election hanky-panky for 5-6 years now at least, not just in our country but in other countries. So it's a real threat. Last week, in regards to a cyber attack, not regarding elections, the Pentagon was asked about it, and John Kirby, the spokesperson, said they, meaning the Pentagon, they fend off thousands of cyber attacks each day. Now, that could be from just a bad attempt by me trying to get some information, could be considered a cyber attack, to much more serious items. But nevertheless, thousands a day. And so, yeah, it's a very real possibility. So many elections going on today in 30 states, that they're on the ball.
One last real quick thing, which I found interesting. The Pentagon is pulling from public view a number of photographs and videos that have been posted over the last 20 years in order to protect the identity of some of the Afghans who had worked with us and are still behind, right?
That's correct. As of yesterday, John Kirby said 124,000 photos and 17,000 videos that have been posted over the last 20 years have been pulled from the sites that post them. It's called DVIDs, Defense Video, et cetera, to which you or anybody can access and use these photos free as long as you credit the U.S. government. Well, they've been pulling those photos since August because they realize it shows the faces of people who both work with the United States or their families, and that would put them in further danger from the Taliban, because it's no secret that the Taliban is still hunting down these people who help the United States and other Western nations as well as international organizations. Now, the downside is, of course, they've been out there and they could have already been downloaded by nefarious individuals and kept. Right. And once they're downloaded, of course, you have them. But I think, that's the negative way of looking at it. I think it was a positive step. And John Kirby said it was he who realized this, and he issued the decision, not the order, but the decision, and it was quickly agreed upon. And they've been going through it now, and it's continuing. Well, he said as of yesterday, it was still continuing. So, yeah, and he'll put them back. He said they'll go back up at such time when they feel that all those individuals are safe.
All right. Tom, appreciate your time this morning, as always. Good Tuesday conversation. We'll do it again next week. Thank you, my friend.
You bet. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Tom Scudieri, our national correspondent this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. It's 8:33, 27 till the hour. Story the Big Seven has, and they'll probably talk about it right here in their headlines, about an incident at Tyler Consolidated Middle School is of interest to me, and I want to talk about that a bit. And I've got what I sometimes call shop talk. It's kind of internal radio business, talk radio business, but it's interesting what one guy is trying to do about this vaccine stuff, and I'll share that with you coming up as well. It's the Watchdog Morning Show, 8:33, 27 till the hour, as we head over to the news desk of the Big Seven.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
Stephen is 910, Biffy, just so you know. And I'll take a second break if you need me to, because I know I didn't get a break in there. Okay, just let me know. I can do it, but okay, all right. Stop that. Stop talking, Biden. Biden, stop talking. I'm looking for these Manchin cuts to see if I can play them.
The White House says it remains confident that President Biden's social spending plan, his Build Back Better agenda, will gain the support of Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, a key vote given the 50-50 split in the Senate. Press Secretary Jen Psaki using Manchin's own words from a press conference today, noting that Manchin says he wants to halt inflation, avoid adding to the federal debt, and create jobs.
Democrat Joe Manchin telling fellow party members in the House he wants them to vote on the already passed Senate physical infrastructure plan and then figure out how to pay for social spending.
Voting that bill, Hossies, is not going to work to get my support of what you want.
But House progressives not sure they can trust Joe Manchin to vote on
Everyone,
My flag. Hi. You were right.
America's favorite chocolate chip granola bar. Kids choose Chewy.
If you're not shopping on Wayfair, you're missing out.
The selection is unreal.
You will not get better quality for the price.
Wayfair. Spend less, get way more.
.org.
.38 on them. Iowa State falls to number 3 in that category this week. As for West Virginia, the Mountaineer defense is number 4 overall in scoring defense. They're allowing just 23 points per contest. Offensively, both of these teams, well, statistically, they struggle. WVU is currently number 7 in the league in total offensive yards per game at 403. Oklahoma State, one spot below. They're producing just 394 yards per contest. One note looking ahead to next week's game when West Virginia goes back on the road to take on Kansas State. The Big 12 announcing on Monday that that game will be a noon start between the Mountaineers and the Wildcats. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, Toppy Kirchville. Join me weekdays at 10 o'clock for Talkline. We'll talk about the big stories affecting us in West Virginia, top political figures, sports personalities, sometimes just plain folks offering their opinions on what's happening today. 10 till noon, right after the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Introducing our new redesigned 7 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content, and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tap, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF 7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF 7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
And the Nailers with the most dramatic of victories. 5 seconds left, they score.
Nailers hockey is coming back, and so should you. Join us for opening night, Saturday, November 6th. Puck drops at 7:10 at West Banco Arena. Kick the night off with a pregame fan fest with inflatables for all ages, plus postgame autographs. And each fan takes home a magnet schedule. Gotta get back to the excitement of Nailers opening night. Buy your tickets now. Call 304-234-GOLD or go to wheelingnailers.com.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Update your home with new flooring from Shaw. Add comfort with soft and luxurious carpet. Transform the look of any living space with durable laminate flooring. Vinyl plank flooring is waterproof and clicks together for an easy installation. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through November 6th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
West Virginia Northern Community College will host its fall open house, both in person and virtually, on Saturday, November 6th, from 9 a.m. to noon. Both formats allow you to learn about programs, admissions, financial aid, and more. If you attend in person in New Martinsville, Wheeling, or Weirton, you can also tour the campus. Everyone participating in Northern's open house could win a $1,000 scholarship. For more information, visit wvncc.edu.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! Yeah! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
You got it! Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go. 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure. I mean, you being a mountain climber and all,
Yep.
you probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Keep up with the ever-changing world of sports all night long. Sports Map Radio is on the Watchdog, FM 98.1, AM 1600.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
17 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. 42 at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 44 here at the home studios. And 43. I keep screwing that up. I don't know why. 43 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. I want to stick with the Joe Manchin story just for a minute or two, then move off into some other stuff. Senator Manchin yesterday issued a statement to the press and a written statement to us as well that essentially said, well, it was a scold. Again, he scolded the House. He scolded Congress for not passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the bill that's already passed the Senate that was agreed to in a bipartisan way. They call that the BIF, the BIF bill. And then there's the BBB bill, the Build Back Better bill, which is the more social spending side of the infrastructure bill, which progressive Democrats have been pushing very hard. It has started out at $5 trillion. It got down to $3.5 trillion, I think. Manchin still said it was too high. He wouldn't pay that much money. So they trimmed it down to $1.75 trillion, which is the number that Manchin had said he would felt was an acceptable number. Now Manchin says that it isn't. He doesn't think it really is 1.75 trillion. He really is doing the Lucy and Charlie Brown thing, pulling the football out from the Democrats once again. But he held he issued a statement yesterday on the issue of the so-called the Build Back Better bill, the $1.75 trillion infrastructure reconciliation bill. Senator Manchin truly tap danced around that. Will you support that bill? Was asked of Senator Manchin.
To supporting a final bill that helps move our country forward, but I am equally open to voting against a bill that hurts our country.
So, well, I might vote for it. I might vote against it. Leaving everybody up in the air as to what Senator Manchin wants. It was certainly perceived to be by most folks as a blow to the progressives' desire for the infrastructure bill.
Democrat Joe Manchin telling fellow party members in the House he wants them to vote on the already passed Senate physical infrastructure plan and then figure out how to pay for social spending.
Holding that bill hostage is not going to work to get my support of what you want.
But House progressives not sure they can trust Joe Manchin to vote on any social spending bill as the West Virginian senator continues rejecting suggested wealth and corporate taxes to pay for them. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
The White House trying to put the best face on Manchin's, because remember on Friday, Biden had suggested that this newly revised bill at $1.75 trillion was going to be acceptable. So they're trying to put the best face on this now that Manchin's going, yeah, not so much. They're still saying that they think they can make it work.
President Biden needs all 50 Democratic senators on board to pass his $1.75 trillion spending package focused on climate change, education, and health care. But Senator Joe Manchin says he's not there yet.
I'm open to supporting a final bill that helps move our country forward, but I am equally open to voting against a bill that hurts our country.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is firing back, saying in a statement, "We remain confident that the plan will gain Senator Manchin's support." Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
You know, part of me wonders, and I'm sure that I'm not smart enough to have thought this when nobody else has, isn't there a Republican they could get to switch sides? Isn't there Manchin is a right-leaning Democrat. Now, there aren't a lot of left-leaning Republicans left in the Senate, but if I were trying to negotiate this, I don't know who they are, but I'd be looking for someone in the Republican Party then who was willing to come over and kind of replace Manchin's vote. Manchin says no, others may say yes. I know that that's almost impossible because of the dynamics of the Republican Party anymore. You don't dare go up against the leadership of the party, but I don't know. I just sometimes wonder. Biffy, our friend Patrick Morrissey, what a classy guy. What a classy guy he is. West Virginia's Attorney General yesterday, Patrick Morrissey, issued this tweet, all right? I won't say it, so you don't have to put your finger on the button, but it's here in the tweet. This is from Patrick Morrissey. Biden's Build Back Better slogan doesn't sell in West Virginia because it's bull bleep.
Stuff?
Except he said what it was. Bull stuff. Classy. Patrick, how classy can you be, pal? Yes, sir, Rebub. So classy for the Attorney General. Biden's Build Back Better slogan doesn't sell in West Virginia because it's bull stuff. Take note, progressive national Dems, we ain't buying what you're selling. Wow. You know, I've said this since Patrick Morrissey first took office 2 terms ago. If he only would just pay attention to, his actual job. Instead of perpetually running for, I don't even know what he's running for now. You know, some think he's going to go for governor. Will he try another senatorial seat? He's perpetually out there sending out tweets and sending out press releases about things that have nothing whatsoever to do with his job. Nothing to do with his job. But keep it classy, Patrick. Keep it classy. Keep it classy. We don't support, it doesn't sell in West Virginia because it's bull stuff.
He took a page out of Senator Manchin's book.
Well, that's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that. You're absolutely right. Manchin himself said the same thing a couple of weeks ago on, what was that? It was on the rumors that he was going to switch parties, right?
Yeah, from the Mother Jones article.
Right, the Mother Jones article, the David Corn piece, and it said that Manchin was considering the possibility of threatening to leave the party, and hopefully he thought that would move some of the other Democrats to closer to what he wants. And when asked about that, Manchin, his first phrase was, "That's a bunch of bull stuff. Capital B, capital U, capital L, capital B." So I guess if I'm going to criticize, you're right, Biff, you're absolutely right. If I'm going to criticize Morrissey for showing a lack of class, I guess maybe. But you know, somehow Manchin can pull it off. Manchin, how do I want to say this? Manchin's a bit more of a macho working class man. You know, you get what I'm saying? I mean, there's some things that you can say that sound right from coming from him, but from Morrissey it sounds weird.
Yeah, it's like when you hear when people say or they do certain things, you go, okay, you would expect that from him, but when somebody else does it, it's like, where did that come from? You know, you question. You question, why did they do it, or why did they say it, or, you know, what was the reasoning behind it?
It doesn't seem in character sometimes. It doesn't seem quite right. Again, I never thought about it. I'm glad you brought that up, because when Manchin said, well, that's a bunch of bull bleep, capital B, capital U, capital L, capital B, the fact that he used that word didn't really, okay. It's just somehow that seemed like Manchin, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean that negatively. It just seems the kind of thing that you'd hear Joe Manchin say. This just doesn't feel, Patrick Morrissey is, I don't know. If I go down this road any further, I'm going to get in more trouble. I don't want to get any more trouble. Patrick, from time to time, will tweet me, and usually he says, "Howard, I think you're better than that." No, not really.
You might get that tweet again today.
I could. You know, the last time Morrissey tweeted at me, it was during the campaign, and he said I was being unfair. I had his opponent on. Actually, it was in the primary, so it wasn't even his opponent. And he said, you know, and you're being unfair, and Howard, I think you're better than that, and you know, you ought to have me. And I think 3 times I reached out to he and his staff and said, come on the show, Patrick. I'm happy to have you on the show. Crickets. So, 8 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Do I have to do a break, or am I okay, Biff?
You are okay.
We're going to talk more about Manchin coming up in the next hour of the show. Stephen Adams is going to join us from the Ogden newspaper chain to get into that. A couple of things, if I have time, I want to get into. There's a story that the Big 7 reported on last night, and also was in our TV7 newscast this morning. And I begin with the preface, as I always do. 100% of the information I have comes from the Channel 7 news story. So if there is another side to the story, if there's more details that aren't being out here, and all I know is what I hear and read from Channel 7. This story bothers me a bit. It comes out of Tyler Consolidated Middle School, where parents showed up at I guess it was a school board meeting this week, upset over a search that took place at the middle school last Friday morning. Now, the parents say they didn't know about it in advance. They only learned about it afterwards. I kind of get that. The administration wants to, you know, you give advance warning that we're going to search your lockers for contraband, or search you for contraband. Well, if you know it's going to be done, if you know ahead of time that people are going to search, what do you do, Biff?
Yeah, you go ahead and you clean You clean everything
There you
out.
go. So I get that the parents weren't informed ahead of time. I also get why the parents are upset, but I get that. I guess the heart of my concern about this, and I'm going to share the whole thing with you if you haven't heard it before. The heart of my concern is that the whole thing is about vaping and electronic nicotine devices, all right? Which I get is contraband at school, and I get that it's, verboten, and it should be, and kids caught with electric, nicotine devices, e-cigarettes, vaping machines, they should be disciplined. I get that. But it seems to me things went a little bit overboard. Let me share with you a bit from the TV7 story. Parents showed up Monday night at the school board meeting telling board members that some of the students were uncomfortable and felt violated. Students were asked to hand over their phones and their book bags upon entering the building. Now, I'm curious what information you could get from the phone about whether or not you've got vaping items on hand. Book bags, I get. And I'm not going to focus on the phones, but I'm not sure really that the phones were germane to the issue at hand either. Then we get into this. The girls were asked to pull on their bras repeatedly. This is a middle school. As faculty conducted a search, the boys were asked to lift their shirts to expose their waistline. One grandparent who was on hand, and I certainly appreciate grandparents' anger, said, quote, "They're not doctors, they're not their parents, they're not the law. What gives them this right? This is where parents are coming from." Pause for a moment, because I'm going to concur with the next words he says. I think he's right. Back to the statement. We understand you can search your book bags. We understand you can search their lockers. When you start making girls pull out their bras in front of boys in the same room, they can deny it all they want. They did that. I've got statements and all kinds of stuff from the parents and their children. And that's my issue too. First of all, yes, the use of e-cigarettes or regular cigarettes or vaping, yes, you don't want that in school, and yes, you want to crack down on that. I'm okay with that. But how far do you go with a violation of that sort? If there had been, I don't know what, if there had been a rumor that somebody was bringing a gun or a knife into school, maybe a little bit different, right? Or maybe if there was talk about actual illicit drugs, somebody is bringing cocaine in or something, okay, maybe. But the issue is, according to the school system, vaping and e-cigarettes. And for that, and so, yeah, you want to search the lockers? Go for it. You want to ask them for their book bags and look through them? Absolutely. But to physically search their bodies for an issue like this, I don't know.
Yeah, and
I just don't know.
And I'm not even sure that that's, like you said, with guns and stuff like that. If you've got a heads up, yeah, you can prepare for that. So, something like this, you really can't. But again, how far? Where's the line before you go? Okay, we got to bring in I don't know, county or whatever the sheriffs or the cops. Where is that line? Okay, we've searched book bags, we've searched lockers. That's fine. Search that, search desks. Okay, but after that, if you want to do, if you want to go a little further, okay, but maybe bring in the authorities and call them to do searches and stuff.
And again, I only know what I read from this Channel 7 story, so maybe there is a different perspective on this. Maybe there's more information about it. But I think you're 1,000% correct, Biff. Bring in someone from the outside, bring in law enforcement. Once you've gotten to the point where now you want to search their bodies, bring in someone from the outside, segregate the boys from the girls, which this seems to suggest they didn't do. And I think parents need to be there. Ma'am, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith, we're conducting a major search here. We're worried about e-cigarettes. Again, I think as a parent, I would kind of go, oh, really? But okay, we're conducting a search for e-cigarettes. and we've searched lockers and we've searched book bags. We want to do a body search. Perhaps you would like to be here when we do that. Wouldn't that be, for that part of it, wouldn't that be appropriate? I just, this whole thing doesn't feel right to me. Maybe there's more to it, and I'm sure the Big Seven will pursue it a little bit more today, but the whole thing just doesn't feel right to me. And again, when the issue is simply e-cigarettes, I'm against them, don't get me wrong, but it's not like guns or heroin, right?
Yeah, you treat that a little bit different than you do with something much more, that could be worse.
On the Facebook page of the school, they say that occasional locker desk and book bag searches will continue, and I'm in for that. That's fine. Locker desk, book, that's fine. Not body searches. Stephen Adams coming up next after ABC covers the world. They are already in progress.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Pharmacy.
All right, Stephen at 9:10.